So today we'll be understanding what is CI/CD, and then after we look into the tools. How do we exactly use the tool to perform the CI/CD? Okay. So let us consider we have a banking application. So this is the project that we are working on, and how many teams would be working on this? Let us consider we have a dev team here, and we have some QA team and some other teams within this. Okay. So now, what is the purpose of dev team? So purpose of dev team is to develop. Okay. And what is the purpose of QA team? So they have to test the application. Okay. So now what exactly happens internally is like, so there is a place called, we can say this is kind of like a repositories. Okay. So this is kind of like a repo. Okay. So repositories, as we spoke about, like repo is nothing but it can be a GitHub versions. Okay. Version controlling tools. So generally what they do is like, so developers, they are going to work on some requirements. Let us take, we have some requirements here. So requirement 1, requirement 2, and requirement 3. And within this requirement, the team, like, they will be working on dev 1, dev 2, and here. So we have like dev 2 and dev 3 and so on. Okay. So on, they'll be working on this. So they take the requirement, they work on the requirement, and they are going to develop the features. So how these features will be pushed? Let us take, like, this is like everyone is working on some feature. Okay, so let requirement 1. So he's going to make the changes and he's going to push the changes. So likewise, dev 2 is also going to do the same thing, and for the requirement 1, and dev 2 for the requirement 3, requirement 2, and dev 3 for the requirement 2, and so on. Like, developers would be working. Okay, so what they do is like they are going to push, pull, they make the changes and they do this, all this stuff. Okay, so they are going to pull the code, and they are going to integrate the code, and they are going to execute that code. Okay, so yes, just give me a second. Yes, I'll just close the door. Okay, so where do exactly these things will be done? So let us take, this is kind of like a Git repository. Okay, so we can call it as like a GitHub for some time. So okay, so now this is like everything is maintained and managed, but how do they test it actually? So for example, requirement 1 is designed by dev 1, dev 2, but requirement 3, it is integrated with requirement 3. Okay, so some other person is also working on it. So how do they actually do it? So they are going to clone that project. Okay, so clone that project, or we already looked into that. How do we push and pull? How do we push and pull, right? So if you make changes, and if you want to put that changes into the GitHub, then you are going to push it. Okay, so pull is like you are going to get the latest changes from the GitHub. So likewise, we are going to do these actions every day. Okay, so this is kind of like a everyday practice in general that we are going to do. Okay, so in terms of QA also, we do the same thing. QA would be writing some scripts, and they are going to push that scripts into the GitHub and pull those changes from the GitHub. Okay, so this is what regular activity it happens. So now it is like development team is writing and they are pushing, pulling. So these activities are continuously working, and certain thing is like what happens is like now we have like sprints. Okay, so in that sprint we are going to define the release. Let us take like 2 sprints is like 1 release. Okay, 1 sprint is like, duration of 1 sprint is like 15 days. Okay, so let us take like we are going to have this set of requirements, and this set of requirements are like scattered in the form of like releases. Okay, releases, and within that we have a sprints. So 2 sprints we have completed, and we have some requirements here. Let us take like requirements are ready. Requirements, okay, 10 some 10 requirements are ready with us. So now the thing is like, now we have to combine this and we have to give it as like a release. Okay, so give it as like a release. So how these things will be working in case, like, certainly the thing is like, if you want to form it as like a release, then all group of things should be tested, and it should be given as like a build for testing. Okay, it should be given as like a build for testing. So here comes the picture called CI/CD. Okay, so CI/CD. CI, CD. So CI stands for continuous integration and CD stands for continuous deployment. Okay. So the internal structure, I'll tell you how does it exactly happens like. So this is kind of like a GitHub that we have. From where we are going to take it. So GitHub will have like, for example, let me open this GitHub. There I'm going to show you how exactly we are going to pull the code from the GitHub. Taking some time. Okay, so we got it. Yesterday we created some demo test repo, right? So I'll take this one. Now the code is available under the master branch. Okay, so we are going to point this master branch. So where do we have this option? We have this option in the CI pipeline. Okay, so this is called a pipeline. Okay, CI pipeline and CD pipeline. Okay, how exactly these things would be looking is like in general. So they will be framed like this. Okay, so this is CI and this is CD. Okay, so here we have CI and this is CD. Okay, so we'll go back to it and I'll explain about these things also. So now you see that now what is happening is like we are going to this CI will be pointing to this repo. So that's nothing but it is pointing to this GitHub. So it's going to take the code and it's going to integrate. Okay, so what it exactly does in the integration is like, so it's going to check for the syntaxes. Are there any syntax issues? Everything is properly defined. All the classes are available or not. So all these kinds of checks will be done in case of like CI. Okay, so CI, what it does is like, it's going to continuously integrate the code. Okay, so we'll see what is the definition of the CI. Okay, so I have some documentation for this. So it's like a piece of documentation wherein you can just use it. So let me just open the notepad. I'm going to paste it over there. Okay, so here you can see CI/CD stands for continuous integration and deployment. Okay, so continuous integration is like kind of like every time. Let us take like pushing some code. Okay, so pushing some code here. So developer is pushing some code into the GitHub. Okay, so GitHub. So now there are like some set of settings that we can do. One is like every time a developer pushes the code, then it will like kind of like it will go and check for the integration. So everything is like compilation is working fine and we don't have any dead code. So all these things will be checked in the CI. CI is kind of like it's kind of like we have, if for example if you can take this bread slices. Okay, so how these slices would be there? This is kind of like a layers. Okay, so likewise we have the layers. So you can consider this kind of like these layers are called requirements. Okay, so CI will be like piling up this kind of layers. Okay, so here you can call it as like this is requirement 1 and this is requirement 2. Okay, so it's kind of like continuously integrating it. Requirement 3, requirement 4, likewise it will integrate it. Okay, so this is nothing but CI. So CI does not execute any code. Okay, it's going to just integrate it and say that if there are any issues, then it's going to say that this is like issue we have during this compilation, like compilation issues are some set of breakdowns in the code that it's going to show. So now this is kind of like a one pipeline, wherein this pipeline is kind of like it's kind of like a downstream. Okay, downstream in the sense this is upstream. So this is nothing but it's a upstream, it's a downstream. So for example, if you want to get the data from this, okay, let us take like we have a waterfall kind of thing. Okay, waterfall. So we already know what is waterfall, right? So how this will be done is like, I'll show you here. So this is kind of like a GitHub. So from GitHub, I'm going to get the information, like all the details into the CI, and after that we are going to get into the CD. So whatever changes, so let us take like we have a development team sitting here. Okay, so dev requirements. So dev requirements, whenever they make changes, are they are going to push the changes to the GitHub. Okay, so let me write it. So GitHub. So from this GitHub, so we have this information will be loaded into the CI. Okay, so from this CI will be again, it's like a point of contact for the CD. Okay, so whatever changes we make as part of development will be pushing code into the GitHub, and GitHub will provide the details, like, from which branch that we want to take, that from which branch you want to integrate. Okay, so we have one branch here, master branch. I'm just considering one branches, like, developers are doing some changes here and they push their code, and now the code is available into this GitHub. Now CI, what it does is, like, exactly, it's going to take that code and it's going to integrate in the sense, just it's going to make some basic checks. Okay, so everything is like, it's going to do the basic checks, and it's going to pile up the requirements like this. Okay, take the requirements like this. Once we have this requirements, and we'll go back to this little documentation, whatever we have here, you can see that it's a software development approach that focuses on automating the process of building. Okay, process of building. So it is as simple as, like, we saw a lot of things like SDLC and STLC. We have some process, right? So in terms of this, if we consider that in terms of development, we have the CI/CD. Okay, CI stands for continuous integration, and CD stands for continuous deployment. So now you can see that building, testing, and deploying the applications. So it will build the application. That's nothing but it will just compile the application, and it will test it, and it's going to deploy the application. If everything goes good, then it's going to just do the package, and it's going to deliver to us as an application. So it's kind of like packaging. For example, if you go to a supermarket, what do? So first is, like, you have a checklist. So you have a checklist that you gather all those items and you are going to put it in a basket. Okay, so that checklist is nothing but it's kind of like a CI. So putting all together in a basket is nothing but a CD. It's nothing but you are packaging everything. When you go to the billing, it's nothing but only thing is, like, you just go to the billing, and we have all item lists ready with us, and then we are just going to package and take it for the delivery. That's nothing but it's like, when we relate to that particular scenario here, developers should be taking those requirements, that is checklist, and they are going to design it, and they are going to just push that code into the GitHub. So from their GitHub, that what we are going to do is, like, it's kind of like a off the shelf. We are just picking those items and putting into the CI. Okay, so that we can, once the CI is completed, that's nothing but we are putting all the items into the basket, and after that we are just packaging. Okay, CD is nothing but continuous deployment. So it will just start executing the code, and everything goes good, then it's going to make it as like a package, and we can deliver it to the client. Okay, so here you can see continuous integration. It involves merging code changes from multiple developers into a shared repository frequently. Okay, so this is what we have discussed, right? So it's like, nothing that it does apart from this merging and doing the putting all these things from the shared repository. Okay, preferably several times a day. This is kind of like several times a day. So we have an option, right? So when we go to a supermarket, we have an option that is nothing but nobody else is going to bill it there itself. When you take the item, they'll not come to you, and they don't ask you for the billing. Only thing is, like, you have an option which one you want to put, which one you want to remove. So all this is like, it's kind of like we are going to do it several times, right? So we take the item, if it is okay, we'll just put that item into the basket. Otherwise, we are going to remove it. Okay, likewise, these things will be done during the CI. So the main goal of CI is to detect the integration issues and conflicts early in the development cycle. Okay, so it typically includes the following steps. That's nothing but version control. So here you can see that it's going to manage the track code changes, and it's like automated build. That's nothing but it's just look for the compilation. See, trigger to compile the code and create an executable or deployable artifact. Okay, so everything goes good. It's kind of like a package that we have. Next is like automated test, including unit test, integration test. It's just go and see that everything is like working properly. It's like, when we compile, then we come to know that, okay. So in Maven also we did that one, right? So when we are just want to see that build is successful or not, just we go and try to clean it. Okay, so we use the goal called clean. So what it does, it's going to just go and check for the compilation errors. If we have any compilation errors, it's going to throw the build failure. Okay, so in likewise we have in CI pipeline. So what it does is like, it's going to just it's going to check for the code and merge changes. So continuous integration servers, we have, like, you can see, we have Jenkins, Travis CI, and Circle CI. Okay, so manages and orchestrate the above processes. So here we have, like, in Jenkins also we can create pipelines, so deployment pipelines that we can create. But it's like, for your basic knowledge that we are going to see how do we exactly connect with Jenkins through, executable, or else with the Maven, how do we execute Maven, and how do we execute the GitHub. So this we are going to see, but when we go with the pipelines, there are like pipelines that we can create. So that is like, the advanced one. So once you learn this basic things, then advanced things would be like very easy for us to understand. So we have documentation for this also. I'll give the documentation. How do we exactly create these pipelines? Okay. So this is for your experience. It is not required for, but the execution of process that you should be aware of, like, process. How do we execute this code from GitHub or command prompt or Maven? Okay. So that we are going to discuss. So this is all about like, CA integrations. Now it comes to the deployment. Okay. So deployment or delivery that we can say is continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So now it's kind of like you have selected all the items and you saw that it's everything is like up to the mark, and now we go for the billing. So once you bill it, so it will be packaged, right? So all these things will be packaged and it will be put under one basket. Okay. So now it's ready, like you can move it. It's kind of like you have a handy and you can move it to the home. So that's the thing, but we are going to deliver it to the client. So we deploy it and then we are going to move it to the client. So how do we exactly do it is like configuration management. Now you can see that there are some typical steps that we have, so which we need to follow. So what we have to do is like configuration management. So configuration management is like kind of like what environment that you want to test and how do we exactly want the specific environment to be set up. Okay. So separately from the code base to enable easier deployment across different environments. So this is kind of like where do you want to execute? So we have a server and you want to execute that code in a server. So we'll give the server location and this code will be executed on the server location. Okay. We'll write some PowerShell scripts for this. So this is like little advanced. But in case of Jenkins, when you see the Jenkins here, we can integrate and we can deploy in one go. Okay, in one go that we can do. But when you take the Azure DevOps, we have different stages there. We have to create a CI pipeline, CD pipeline, okay, release pipeline, what we call. But in case of Jenkins, that we can directly do it with the help of like we have like some set of like projects that we have to create, and we can just give all these things in a single go. Okay, so deployment automation, this is nothing but we can just give some various environments and we can give the if it is like a development environment, staging environment, or production environment. Okay, we have different environments there. Okay, so directly we don't put everything into the production environment. First we have to check everything is working fine, then only we are going to push our changes and we are going to integrate our changes or deploy our changes into the production environment. Okay, so next is like we have like some little differentiation between this deployment and delivery. Deployment is like continuously it's going to do it, and delivery is like continuously it's going to pump it into the production environment. Okay, so it simply says here, you can see the application also automatically deployed to the production environment as soon as it passes the CI phase. Okay, on the other hand, continuous delivery means the application is always in state where it can be deployed to the production, but actually deployment is triggered manually or scheduled intervals. Okay, this is kind of like on-demand execution, what we say. Okay, so the code is ready, but if you want to push it or if you want to make your changes and push it into the production, that is like we have like in continuous delivery, that is like on-demand execution. Okay, automated is like directly it will go and deploy everything into the production, and on-demand is like whenever it is required. Okay, now I don't need those changes. Okay, I'm working on something and there is some production issues going on. I want to work after that production issues are completed. Okay, I mean to say that I want to work on those latest changes after the production issues are gone. In that cases, we'll be saying that on-demand execution. Okay, so now you can see CI/CD practice helps team deliver software faster, improves collaboration. So how does it exactly help? Is like, for example, we people are sitting in different regions. One is sitting in UK, one is sitting in USA, one is sitting in Australia. So now the thing is like now we have to integrate it. Okay, so everybody tested their changes, but there should be one certain place where we should have a server. In that server, we can execute everything. So that's the thing, but it's a point of contact wherein it's not a local machine. Okay, we are assuming that it's kind of like a staging machine wherein we are going to push all the changes. Now we are going to integrate and deliver it. Okay, continuously delivering it. So this is all about like CI/CD pipeline, guys. CI is nothing but CI stands for continuous integration. It will take the code changes and it will check for the merge changes. Saying it doesn't do anything. Execution will not be done. But CD is like a continuous deployment. Now it is kind of like it's going to execute. It's going to take this executables, whatever we have prepared as part of CI, it's going to execute here in the CD. So CD will have the actual execution. Okay. So here we call it as like a deployment or delivery. Okay. So yeah, deployment or delivery. So now it's kind of like deployment delivery is ready. But who has to test it now? QA has to test it. Okay. This is nothing but we are going to get the input from the CD. Okay. So here in this stage, after CD is completed, developer, they are going to tell QA, right? Okay. Now the build is ready. Okay. Now the build is ready. Please go and conduct your testing. So that is nothing but we now here we are going to start the regression testing or retesting. Okay. So the process is like developers develop their code, push their changes into the GitHub, and GitHub will take GitHub code will be taken by CI pipeline, and CI pipeline it's going to create some check for the merge codes and compilation issues, and then it's going to create one executable, and this code will be executed in the CD. And CD, once the CD is done, now developers would inform us like now we can go ahead and test this build. Okay, so build we get some versions of code, and then we are going to develop it. When we are going to test the development code. Okay, so this is how the process actually works. And what is the here we have discussed about like development, but QA has the same role, right? QA, we got some requirements that we have to automate something. Okay, so now it's like development will be replaced by QA, and all the requirements is like QA will be creating this automation scripts. Automation scripts will be pushed into the GitHub, and again same process. Now we are going to take those scripts and we are going to integrate using the CI pipeline. And after integrating, everything is checked properly and we don't have any issues with the compilations. Then we are going to go with the CD. Then after that, finally, what we are going to do is like we are going to execute our scripts using the continuous development deployments. Okay. So now when it comes to we have different tools, right? So Travis CI and Circle CI and Jenkins. Okay. So why do we go ahead with the Jenkins? Okay, what we have different tools, right? So still it's like we can go ahead with the different tools, but the thing is like Jenkins is kind of like a free version tool. Okay, so it's like a free deployment tool. Okay, so we have something like that. So Jenkins is a popular open source automation server wide used in implementation. So I have this documentation, guys. So I'll share you with PPTs which I've prepared. So I'll share those things. Okay. So beforehand, just I want to show you like few things, how exactly these things would be working as part of our course curriculum. So now I can see that Jenkins. So just I prepared this documentation and let me just. Jenkins is a popular open source automation server wide used for the implementation of CI/CD pipelines. Okay, so it is like a free version tool, and what we say is like configuration tool. Okay, so Jenkins is a configuration tool. Okay, so Maven is kind of like we have different tools that we have used, right? So one is like TestNG is like it's a framework, and we have Selenium is a tool, TestNG is a framework, and Maven is like it's a deployment tool, and Jenkins is the kind of like we have a build configuration tool. And next is like Git that we have used is like it's a source code management. Okay, so what we say is like versioning controlling tool. Okay, so versioning controlling tool or source code management. So here Jenkins that we are going to use it for the configurations. Okay, continuous integration and continuous deployment. So now you can see that here are some key things that we are going to do as part of Jenkins. We have jobs and we have pipelines. Okay, jobs that they are going to execute within the pipelines. Okay, so if you want to test it like before executing them in a pipeline, you want to create some jobs. Okay, we have freestyle jobs, Maven jobs, GitHub jobs. So like this, we have different set of jobs. Okay, so these jobs that we are going to just use them for executing the code. Okay, after that, if everything is working fine, then we are going to push that code into the pipelines. Okay, so these pipelines that we are not going to discuss here, only we are going to discuss about the jobs. Okay, so for the pipelines that you can do some sort of R&D on this and try to understand, I'll give the documentation for the pipeline, like where exactly we can find. So next is like we have a plugins. So this plugins is kind of like a extra additional things wherein we can add add few things like we can get the code from the GitHub and we can execute our code on the Maven or Gradle, and we can execute our code like if you want to make some modifications or if you want to get the notifications. Okay, so email notifications, all these things kind of like a plugins. So for example, if you consider a scenario like you are taking the let us take like any set of a network like Tata network or something, so Sun TV or something. Okay, that's nothing but you are taking the subscription. There we have few sets of channels, right? So by default they are going to provide only 10 channels. So after that, if you want to buy a few more channels, then you have to pay for this. Okay, that's nothing but their plugins, additional things which are coming, which are not coming as part of like a common Jenkins, that are nothing but plugins. These plugins are available, so you can use these plugins for doing your actions. Like for example, if you want to execute your code in Maven, you should have a Maven plugin. If you want to execute your code from the GitHub, so you should have a Git plugin. Okay, by default Jenkins will not provide that. Okay, they have some set of plugins which are available as part of Jenkins that will be available, but the other plugins are not available, so those plugins we have to install. Okay, so here you can see continuous integration will be performed and distributed build. So if you can execute this distributed build in different projects, that is like quite possible. Extendable also. Okay, so it's like extensible, and it's like you can extend this, like we can connect to any servers and we can execute it. Okay, so we have few files that we can modify, and it's like we can just make changes to the Jenkins.ini file if it is required. So which project you want to point, and like security systems, all these things can be done as part of like Jenkins. Okay, so integration with other tools also, CI/CD, that it can integrate with other tools. For example, you can see versioning controlling system, that's nothing but GitHub, and tracking systems, Artifactory. So Maven. Okay, so Artifactory repositories are nothing but Maven. Okay, it will consider internally, it will provide support for the other tools also. Okay, and it's like open source tool, and it's like widely available, and we have a lot of things that can be done as part of like Jenkins, and community will be helping you on this. Okay, so it's like a free versioning tool, so we have a wider community for this. Okay, now we'll see that how do we exactly do you have any questions, guys? What is CI/CD pipeline now? Are you clear with this?
Yes, you can explain.
Okay, so let's see how exactly we can download the Jenkins. Just go to this. So we have to type down Jenkins for Windows. Click on this. You can see Jenkins download and deployment. Click on this. You can see there are like LTS, and this is like standard. So this is nothing but latest tested stable tested builds here, and these are like stable builds. Okay, whichever you want, you can take it. Okay, so I'm going to take this one. So LTS, and here, so it's going to start downloading it. Okay, so thanks for downloading Windows stable installer. So you can click on this, and by default it will be hosted on this 8080 port. Okay, so let it complete the download. So we have two things, guys, here. So one is like you can have it like a kind of a file that we have a .exe .exe file and .msf file. Okay, exe file is like just it will not have the service in your machine, but this MSI will have the service. Okay, so this will be hosted as like you can see that inheriting your existing Jenkins integration. So here you can see we have like services. Okay, so this is nothing but these are two things that we have to take care. Like for one is like starting and stopping the services, it will be hosted as like a service, and this is like inheriting existing installations. If you have anything, so that will be taken as like it's going to create the Jenkins home directory directly into your machine. Okay, so now it's like we have downloaded this MSI. I just clicked on it, and you can see this is like it is showing the wizard. So click on next. So if you want to, where do you want to install this Jenkins? It will give the option here. You can change it. I'm putting my default path itself. Okay, so next. Now if you have anything like run as a service or domain user, so you can give it, but I'm going to use it as like run as a local system. Okay, so it is not recommended, though I'm going to use it. So you can see that port number. Okay, by default it is giving the port number. Test for it, port is available. So next, so it's going to check the Java version. Okay, so it's going to check the Java version, and it's going to take the Java path. JDK. Take bin. Report. So it is accepting only JDK. Okay, 11 or 17. Let me just go back, guys, and I'll try to take the latest version of it. So here we should have some prerequisites for this. So it will show you select one package before downloading hardware checks. Okay. Let's check for this. Okay. So these are the prerequisites. And for Ubuntu, we are going to check for the Windows. GV. Okay, this is fine. Java requirement. Click on this Java requirements. Okay. So running Jenkins and Java 11 in Docker. Okay. So upgrade to the 11. So we have 19 actually. Okay. So we have 19. So let me download Java 17. If I take Java 17, that would be a kind of, okay, let me just check. Okay. We'll try to install this Java 17. We'll go and install the. Okay, let's go and install from this JDK 17. And here I have like this one. Take the installer. Earlier I had 17. Let's download. I'm closing it. And go to the next. So same thing, just I changed this Java version, right? So I'm going to take it 17 now. Okay, now it is like allowing me. Okay, so 17 is required. It's installing. Okay, so it's like finished. So now I can go to this HTTP and local host 8080. Okay, so 8080 should be the port. Let me just Is it taking this much time? It will take. Let me just check in Chrome. Local host 8080. Before that, we'll go to the services and we can check it like, type services, Windows key, services, and you can search for Jenkins. Once it opens this, and you can see here, Jenkins will be available. Okay, it's running. So automatically it's running. Okay, so let me restart it again. I'm just restarting the service. Okay. Service restarted. We can click on this reload. So these are the requirements that we have. So we have to have this requirements. So if it is not working, then just we'll downgrade our like Java version JDK, and then we'll try to study. So yeah. So like please wait while Jenkins is getting ready to work. Okay. So now it is like it started. Okay. So I can say starting Jenkins, and your browser will automatically reload automatically when Jenkins is ready. Okay, it is showing starting Jenkins. So the main important thing is after installation, you need to go and check like whether Jenkins is running or not. Okay, if it is not running, then what you have to do is like you have to configure it. Okay, so go to the services, right click on this Jenkins, go to the properties and check for the account. Okay, so check for the account. So for example, if your account is not working, so in that case you have to use it. Okay, so local login that I have given. So if you are using the account, then you have to give the account here. Okay, so this account, like you have to give the username, password, and just click on this. Okay, otherwise you have to add username. So for example, if I take this is like Dell. So this is nothing but it is identifying. Okay, so these things are additional things. If it is like already installed properly, then you need not to worry about it. Okay, so if it is not installed, then we have to troubleshoot it. Okay, so documentation also very clear. So what we have to do is like if something is wrong, then directly you can search on this particular Jenkins. Okay, this is nothing but official site for this. You can see we have a documentation. So this documentation clearly explain about how do we use this Jenkins. Okay, so I was talking about like pipelines, right? So this is nothing but pipeline. Get started with pipeline. How do we exactly create the pipeline? Okay, so get started with pipeline, define a pipeline. Okay, so here we also have the tutorials. How do we write this? So scripts we have, like we can write through scripts or we can directly use the commands. Okay, so here it is like easily given. You can see there's the click on new item and you can add the pipeline. So this is a code. It will add you the pipeline. Otherwise, you can use this one. By default, you can see there are like UI options also there. Okay, so you can use this and you can easily learn Jenkins. But basic thing is like what are we trying to do is like we are going to load the Jenkins. Now Jenkins has started. Okay, it's going to have the secret password. So this secret password is stored in this location. Okay, see program files. Now we'll go here and we'll try to copy this. Control R, and you can just say this one. To open that folder. So here we have an initial password. Okay, right click, open with Notepad. Okay, so just once I can have this password. So copy it and go to the Jenkins, paste it here. Now it will start. Okay, so install suggested plugins, selected plugins. Okay, so this is what we are going to take. Okay, suggested plugins. So these are the default plugins which are available as we're discussing about it, right? So there is no Maven. There is a Git here, but there is no Maven. So if it is not there, then we have to install it. Okay, so now it will take some time to load it, and after that we have only few things to configure. Then it will automatically execute everything, guys. So hardly it will take 15 to 20 minutes to complete this class actually. Okay, so installation, it may take some time because it has to install all these plugins. Okay, I'll recap the things again, guys. Now go back to this and just you need to type Jenkins for Windows. Okay. Once you click on this, you can see these are the options. Click on it and you can go for the stable builds. So LTS is nothing but stable builds and regular releases. Okay, weekly releases. Better you can take the stable build STS. Okay. So it's a long-term support. That's nothing but LTS is nothing but long-term support. Latest builds that whatever we have, like stable builds are taken. So those builds will be available here. So you can see here, this is I'm taking it from LTS. So I just clicked on this Windows, it started MSI. After that, we have some sequence of steps that we need to follow. Okay. So here you can see installing Jenkins. So using the handbooks, and we have a handbooks also here. How do we install it? Okay. So if you want to install it on Windows, click on installation. What are the prerequisites? You have to check this prerequisites. Okay. If you want to check it, you can check this documentation also. Okay. So which is given as part of like a video. So once you click on it, it will start. Okay. So step by step, he's going to explain about it. So whatever we have done is nothing but that we have all these things will be given here. Okay. So two things are this. One is like it's going to provide the extra authentication in case of like identification or authentication. In case of like if you are using this Jenkins as part of like service and have to have the admin rights. Okay. So he'll show you all these things from UI as well as the command. Okay. So we did it from the command. So still it will take some time. Let it create. Okay. So meanwhile, do you have any questions regarding to the yesterday's class that we have discussed about like git, push, pull, merge, fetch? And we try to see how do we exactly resolve the merge conflicts also.
No, Shrikant, I don't have question regarding that, but I have question regarding the interviews that we will have. So, how the interviews will be get and what you have to prepare for that.
The interview process, the basic thing is like you need to understand how do we write the XPath and how do we identify the objects and be very good with the Java. Okay, so I have given almost covered a lot of things as part of Java because I've taken a lot of time to cover the Java because Java is core for this particular Selenium tool. Okay, so because we are taking Java as like a Selenium, Java is like a base for the Selenium tool. And coming to the Java, they are going to ask you about like strings, constructors, and collections mostly. So I discussed all the collections and maps. Then they are going to ask you about like differences in the collections. And when it comes to the programming, they are going to ask you to write some programs in terms of strings. Okay. So next is like so basically they're going to ask you like duplicate elements, duplicate characters, or replacing of characters, reversing of a string. Next is like arrays. In arrays, they are going to ask you some questions like how do you create the arrays, or how do you manipulate the arrays, or find the biggest element, smallest element in the array, second highest element in the array. Okay. So next, coming to the Selenium, they are going to ask you about like writing the XPath is very important, and they'll give some sequence of code like how do you for example, if you want to. So for example, they are going to give some scenario. So go to this particular google.com and enter automation. So manually I'm doing it, right? So automation test and click on this and get the title. Okay. Or else they want you to do some kind of like actions here. Sign in. Now you switch to this. Okay. So when you click on this, it is switching to this window, right? So likewise, they are going to ask you some questions on it.
Okay.
Okay. So sequence of execution is like one thing, and they are going to ask you like in actions classes, So how do you scroll element? So JavaScript executor also we discussed. Exceptions they are going to ask you. So why do we use JavaScript executor and what are the different ways of using the JavaScript executor? JavaScript executor will be helping you to enter the data, clicking the element, moving to the element, scroll the window, scroll down, scroll up, horizontal, vertical. And then next is like JavaScript executor highlights the element. Okay, so capturing the text. So then they are going to ask you about some questions in the alerts also. How do you handle the alerts, frames, windows? And then next they're going to ask like about the exceptions. What is element interact, element not interacted exception, element intercepted exception, click intercepted exceptions, element not found, no such element exception. So what is the difference between web element and web list of web elements, find elements and find element? What is web element, what is web driver, what is JavaScript executor, how do we take the screenshots? And next is like what is remote web driver, how does this grid works, what is in TestNG also they are going to ask you about like how do we execute the test cases in sequence, and how do you create the groups, and how do you execute the methods, and parallel execution, parameterization, what is optional, and enable like always run enables. So these are different properties that we have discussed almost everything in this in terms of like TestNG. And they are going to ask you about like retry analyzer also. So how do you implement these listeners, and what is the use of listeners? And the next is like how do you read the data from the properties called Excel file is very important, guys. Okay, how do you read data from the Excel file? So, and what is data driven testing, and how do you achieve the data driven testing? What is data provider? And next is like so here if you pass these questions, like like if you clear these questions, this is more than enough to understand. Now this is like very advanced. So designing framework and explaining about the framework is like basic, explaining about the framework is basic thing, but designing is like very, it is like very top notch. Okay, so like if he crosses all these questions, then he feels comfortable, then in the second round they may ask you about like in how do you do like if you talk about designing the framework, they're going to ask you questions like how did you design the framework and what pattern that we have used. Okay, we use like page object model pattern. So in that we have like all the pages will have like, for example, here in this project that we have did, right? So this is the base class. Base class will have like what is after method, before suite. Everything is like configured here. You can see before suite. So extend reports that we discussed. Before test is like we are going to initialize this test method for recording everything into the reports. And before method is like whatever we have written like as part of execution, like what it has to do before the test starts. Okay, so after method, if anything fails, that it's going to record these things. Okay, so capturing the screenshots. So okay, one thing I need to discuss about like capturing the screenshot, that's just that we need to add that here. Okay, so after this we'll be adding capturing the screenshot. So here we can write capture the screenshot method and we can call it here. So it will capture the screenshot and it will store the screenshot here. Okay, so failed screenshot we have already discussed. It should be there somewhere, so in the code, so that I'll put it here. And after that you can see the like login test. So this is nothing but login test. Here you can see we used properties classes and loggers also we used. And yeah, another thing is like how do you read the data from the database? So you have to explain about these connections. Okay, how do we use this database connections here? So you can see that we create the, first we are going to load the drivers, then we are going to create the connections, then we are going to read the statements, like get the statement created, and after that we are going to get the result set. And after that what we do, we are going to iterate the result set and we are going to store it. And here you see that I have created read data from the DB. This is nothing but Pojo class. Okay, so this Pojo class will help you to record all the details of that particular table. Okay, if you have one column, then we are going to use one column, two columns, two columns. Like we have 4 columns I've read. Altogether we have 5 columns I've read. Okay, so all these columns will be stored as part of like a object. So this object is nothing but read data. So this read data object is I'm returning back. So how this will be returned back here? So here, come to the login test and you can see this is nothing but we have created list of read data. So from here we are going to get the data. So to iterate it, this I'm going to use I value. At the end, like I'm just using the I++. So that once it is like iterated, so it will read the data from there. So data provider also we use for reading the data from the Excel file. Okay, so you can see login provider So login data provider, and this we are reading it from here. Okay, so if you want to read the data from the Excel file, what you need to do is like you need to just remove this, and you can see that if we have Excel file, is that what utility files we have written, right? Excel report, not this one. Okay, here I did not create any test data. So you can just have the test data created. That's something what I'm just going to create a small folder. Here you can put the Excel file, then you can just read data from there. Okay. So for this, what you can do is like you can just add a util here. So Excel util. So this is a class, it will read the data. Excel data. Okay, so we'll do it after this Jenkins, guys. Okay, I'll show you how do we exactly read the data from the Excel file. So this is like already we have some project which is added here, so it is pointing to that. So let me show you that one also. But for now, I'll just put it these things like this. Okay. So these are questions, guys. I'll just list down those questions and I am going to send it to you so that you can use it. So now it is like the plugins are ready, guys. Okay. So if you want to skip and continue as admin, so that is fine, and save and continue as like. So if you want to use your username and password, that is also fine. I'm going to give my username and password. Okay, Srikanth. Yes, we have discussed almost everything. So that is the reason why I did not skip anything. The only thing is like guys, you have to be, you have to have patience and please prepare well for the interviews. Okay. So I'll give the list of interview questions. Then I can go ahead with that. Save and finish. Start using Jenkins. Okay.
Yes.
Now installation is completed. I can see that there are like some options, new item, people, build, manage, Jenkins, and my views. Okay. So for the first time that we are just want to execute this code using the command line. Okay. So what we are going to discuss here is like we are going to use three things. One is like command execution, command line execution. Another one we are going to execute through Maven. Another one is like we are going to execute through the GitHub. Okay. So for the command execution, what we have to do is like we have just so we have this wizard. Okay, you can see that this is the window it will show. So to execute it from the command line, yes, we need to click on this new item. So here we have like different set of options which are available. Okay, so we'll take the fixture and give it as like command line execution project. Okay, so this is a project name. Just clicking on this, click on OK. It will show you the items that we have to set up as part of jobs. Okay, so this is nothing but empty job. Okay, so now you can see that there are different things. General, so description you can add. Okay, command line execution. Okay, so you need not to worry about all these things. Just we'll go to the build environments. Okay, here you can see that we have build steps and post build steps. What you want to do. So yeah, I'll show you like what are the source code management. Source code management is like what is the source code management. If you want to execute it from the Git, click on this and you can give the repository URL, credentials, and just run this job. It will start triggering that. But triggering build, so build triggers. So we have like what do you want to do before, after, periodical. Okay, so in this case, you can see that we have whole SCM. So here we can give some set of commands here. Okay, so now you can see that when you click on this, it will show you how exactly you can set this execution. Like, if we want to execute it for every hour, for daily at this particular time. Okay, so set, like, it's kind of like a setup that we want to execute. See, so here these are the options which we have. Okay, so we can write the commands also, bash commands that we can use. So this bash commands will execute your code. Okay, so these are the different things, guys. So which in wherein you can use it. It's like little advanced. Okay, but we don't need all these things. Directly we go to the build the steps. Click on this. Now you can select the execute Windows bash command. Okay, click on this. Now you can write the command. So what is the command that you want to do is like cd, and you have to go to that project location where the project is residing. So let us take like this is a project, right? Let me run it here and we'll see that what is the output that we have to get it. Okay, so first we'll go and try to run it using the Maven. Goes on. So it is working fine. Then we should get the same output there in the Jenkins. So what is the output that we are expecting here is like, just go to this test app test. You can see this is what we have to get. Just taking some time for execution. So meanwhile, we can go to this project location and we can take the path of it. Okay. So this is the path. Copy this path, go here and paste it here. Okay. So form dot. So now after this, what we have to do? We have to use command called mbn. So now if we need to check this one, right? So to check it, what we have to do? Go here and you can say cmd. So we have already discussed, right? How do we exactly execute this using the cmd command prompt without using or Eclipse. So Maven is a clean test. Now you see these are the goals. Okay. So what it does now, it will go and execute this form.xml file. Okay. So which is same as like we have to get the output. This is the output. So I've just given the commands here. What it is doing now, it is executing from the command line also. Okay, same commands that we are going to use it there. Okay, we got the output. Okay, same thing should happen here. Just we need to give mbn clean test. Save it. You have saved the job now. Okay. So you can click on this build now. Okay. So now you can see that there are like options which are changed now. So if you want to configure it again, just need to click on the configuration to the job. Okay. Again, it will come back to this location. So we don't want to do anything. I'm just saving it now. I click on this build. It will show you there is there you can see that. Okay. So build filter. So click on this option. You can see the console output. Go to the console output. You can view the results. Now it is like freshly downloading everything. So because this is hosted somewhere else. So now what it does is like in Jenkins, it's going to install all this dependencies. Now it is installing. Okay. For the first time, it will install. From next time, it will go and directly execute it. Okay. So I'm just scrolling down. It downloaded from central. It is not available locally. So it is downloading from the central. As I spoke about the Maven, all the dependencies will be downloaded from the central repository. Okay. Will take some time, guys.
Shrivan, also I need to confirm about any certifications that will be provided.
No, certifications are not required. If you go with the certification, that is also fine. But I suggest you to go through this, like, practice more. Certifications that would definitely help you, but the thing is, like, if you practice more and go ahead with the interviews and then you do the certification, that's also fine. If you want to go with the certifications, we have one certification. So Selenium. So wherein this Selenium H2, they are providing the certification. Again, we have the same things over there. But so far, I've taken like more than 90 interviews, but people hardly I select people because of the vast syllabus that we have as part of Selenium. So if you are good at Selenium, that will not work. We should be good at all this because we'll be, evaluated in all this, Java language, Selenium tools, TestNG, and then we have to get evaluated. There are a lot of things, right, that we have discussed: Log4j, extend reports, Maven, GitHub, Git, and then we have Jenkins. Then you go with the not only Jenkins, then we have like Docker also, which is not required for now because container shipment is different. So that generally we have different servers, so we'll go and execute the code in different servers. So that will help us. So only thing is, like, guys, keep in your mind that you should impress the interviewer with the logic that we have. Okay, basically we look at the candidate with good logics. See, these all things that we can just go and Google it and we can get it. But the thing is, like, how do you apply them? Okay, so conceptually we should be good. So I'm like, talking about some issues. There we get some, Maven dependencies. There are some issues in the pom.xml file. How do you identify that? Okay, so in certain cases we said version control will be changing, version or versions of that particular artifact could be changed, or some issues which are related to the build, some issues with the compilation. So these things that we first identify with the help of, like, how do you how intellectual you are. Okay, so certifications would definitely work, but the thing is, like, I don't appreciate people to go ahead with certification at the initial stages. Once you understand this and try to know what exactly the tool, how exactly the tool is working and how the organization would work. I have like 12, 13 years of experience now, but I don't have any certification apart from my ISTQB. ISTQB basic foundation certification. Okay. So whenever you go for the interview, go, like, prepared well, then only try to attend the interviews. Okay. I want to say that at least you should have 70% of capability to crack the interviews. Otherwise you will lose the opportunities. Okay, some companies, they may not again give the opportunity, like they would be barring you for 6 months. So yeah, the reason behind is, like, just practice well, and you have to take different examples. Okay, whatever examples I've showed is like everything is live, real-time examples, like Amazon or other application I've taken, Orange HRM. So even I have the application which is kind of like very static application. I don't even feel like, kind of like, doing some R&D on that application because everything is like ready-made available for me. But whatever we have discussed is like little more complex. Okay. So there are a lot of elements in that, but in real-time applications, it is not the case. So we have like, two menu items. Under that we have one drop down, under the drop down, three options. So likewise, we have these things. But only thing is, like, we face challenges with synchronization. We have to sync application with our tool. Okay, so if that is not synced, then we'll get a lot of issues. So that we have to handle. Rest of the things are very easy. If you are good at writing XPaths and identifying the element, then there is like nothing in this automation. Only that you struggle to understand the framework, and if you are designing the framework, then we have some challenges. Apart from that, there is like, if you are working as like a common resource, then there is nothing challenge apart from only writing the logic and identifying the elements. Rest of the things would be very static. For example, if you are designing an application, you design, like, designing in the sense taking the feature and writing on it. So first time you would struggle, but the second time onwards it will be easy for you to understand. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
So now you can see that this success. When you go to this status, look at go to the dashboard. Sorry, you can see this. It is showing like it has taken this much time. So again, see schedule for command line execution. If you want to check what exactly happened here, it will show you these things. Okay. So this is working fine. How much time it has taken, and these are the things. Okay. And the thing is like if you want to configure for the email, we can do the configuration. So where do we need to do is like go to the post build actions and I can give. So what is that email notification? For example, email notifications, I want to get it. Send email. Okay, let me build it now. And I'll try to open my Gmail. After build, I should get the notification. Okay, I'm building it. Okay, let me delete this build. This is not required. It started fastly. So first time it was loading everything from the central repository. Okay, success. Then we'll go to the status dashboard. You can see it is showing like second time last success also completed. So let me go ahead and check for this. So I should be getting it. Sometimes it may fall into spam also. Okay. So this is like little different thing that we have to configure this email ID also. So I configured it, but not sure like why this is not coming. I need to check this one. But see, the thing is like whatever we are trying to do is like we want to execute this build with the command prompt. Okay. So command prompt, we go to the configuration and you can see what we have done is like we just gave the command prompt. Okay. So this is not required. The only thing is like, so these are all things we need not to configure. Whichever is required that we have to configure. So build triggers, if you want to trigger something, so remotely, so you have to give the scripts here periodically, builds periodically when do you want to schedule it. So click on it, it will show you. So this will be executed every hour. Okay, every minute. Let's see, every minute, 0 minutes within this hour. And how do you specify this? Like this is the this is what we have like kind of like regular expressions. Okay, star specifies all valid values. So how do you give it now? So for example, if you see, if you want to give like star 00 star for a dozen daily jobs will cause a large spike at midnight. So that's nothing but it 0 minutes, 0 hours, and all the time. It can be daily, month, it can be monthly, yearly. Okay, likewise, we have to set it. So for example, if you want to set everything is like given here, guys, you can see. The symbol H can be used with a range of from 0 to this many hours, from every 6 hours between like 12 a.m. to 5 like 7:59. So that's not automated. We are just automatic. Okay. For example, if I give this one star. Okay. So do you really mean every minute when you say star? Perhaps you mean hours to all poll once in an hour. Okay. Now you see every minute it's going to build. Automatically it will do it. So I'll not build it now. So we'll wait for that and we'll try to see. I'll cancel this one. So build periodically. So these are the configurations. I'll show you a few configurations here. One is like you can in source code management, we are going to do this source code management with the different plugin. Okay. So build triggers is like periodically. So this is like another interview questions. How do you periodically execute your builds in Jenkins? For example, if they ask you, then you can say that this is what we have used like for hourly build, like, daily we used to have 2 times build. So for that, we have given like the symbols, like you can just let them know that we have configured it for every 6 hours. Okay. So This questions would be like, once you are crossing all this, like whatever we have discussed, right? In case of like Java, everything is done. Now they talk about like CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so this is like end of the watch actually. End of the watch, they are going to ask you these questions like how do you build it periodically, or what is your process of CI/CD pipelines? Can you explain that process? Okay, so all these things are kind of like a questions at the end actually. So next you can go to this build environment. So see delayed workspace. So this is like it's going to create. Okay, let me just show you where these things are available now. Go to this program files, Jenkins. So you have a Jenkins folder here. You see, Jenkins is loaded here, but here we have .j2 folder. .j2 folder will be created. Yeah, .jenkins. Now it is not J2. Okay. I can see what are the jobs that you have created. So jobs will be available here. So which one is like command line job, right? That we have created. See, all this build information will be here. Config jobs. So it's nothing but it's going to store everything here. Okay. So likewise, I have executed these jobs, right? So these jobs are available here. Let me close it. We can go to the dashboard. See, 6 times it is it's like for every minute it is executing. See, 17 from 17 started, 18, 19, 20. So for every minute it will start executing. This is nothing but automation, complete like end-to-end automation. So you go to home and you trigger it once, go to home, every hour or if whatever you configure, it's going to execute it. See, now it is started 21. So I did not trigger it, just I gave the build automatically execution. Okay, so go to the configuration. If you don't want to configure it like that, then you can remove this. Okay, so remove this, or else you can just save and save it, it will stop. So this is for the command line. Now we want to execute it from the Maven. Okay, so Maven commands. To use the Maven commands, so what are we going to do is like, we are going to go for the plugins. To go to the plugins, what we have to do is like go to the dashboard. And here you can see there is an option called Manage Jenkins. Okay, so Manage Jenkins, here we need to go and check for the plugins. Okay, so let me just go ahead and see. So where is that plugin? This is the option plugin. Okay, now it will show you like there are like available plugins. So these are the plugins which are available. Go and search for Maven integration. Okay, so these are the Maven integration plugins. So install plugins, you can see if that is already available, it will show it here in this installation, but it is not there. Okay, so go to the available plugins. Now you can type command Maven and you can see this is nothing but integration. So click on this and you can see install without restarting. Download now and install it. Okay, install without restarting this, it will not restart this. Okay, so just install it. Now it's like taking up this plugins, it's going to install this. Now let me go back to this dashboard and we'll check what are the projects that are available for creating the jobs. Okay, there shouldn't be a Maven project. Okay, so after adding the plugin, you will get the Maven project. It's downloading. Otherwise, you can open one other. Okay, we got the. See, now the Maven project is there. Okay, so before that we had like only 6 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. but now we got the additional Maven. Okay. Now we can create the Maven project. Okay. So execute. I'm going to write like Maven. I'm going to create a Maven project. Execution using Maven plugin. So this is a project name. Okay. Plugin project. I'll write project. Now you see that there are some other options which are available here. Okay. So execution, write the command execution. Can we directly go ahead and give this things here? Like no, build whenever a snapshot dependency is built. So all this now we have like a different things. Okay. So build trigger, build configuration, pre-steps are there, build is there, post steps, build settings, and post build actions. Okay. So we'll go to the build environments. Okay. Now you can see that there is an option, and if you want to execute it directly, you can execute it here with the execute command. But the thing is like now it's asking for the build versions, okay, Maven versions. So how do we configure the Maven versions? Now let me just duplicate this. We need to go to the dashboard, and here we have like manage Jenkins. Okay. And you can go to the systems. So we have to set the path of that Maven. Okay. So where is that Maven located? Okay. So here you can see global options. Under this, you can take. Okay. Yeah. Here we have like options here. So let me just, yeah. So we should have an option for this. Yeah. Local executor, that it's already taking it as like, Maven repository or the local repository. File settings is if defined. If it is like default, then you can leave it as like a default. Okay. So let me, set the Jenkins URL here. System admin. Yeah, here we see that everything is like, Maven project configurations. If you want to set it additionally, you can set it here. Okay. So, but this is not required. We'll go back here and we'll try to configure in the tools. And there we are going to give the Maven configurations. So here we are going to use default Maven settings. And here also we are going to use default Maven global settings. So Jenkins JDK that we have to add JDK. So location of the JDK and JDK home. So this is required. We need to give the path of it. Okay. So where is that JDK located? So it is under the program files, Java. This is what we have to add. Okay. So git installation, this is not required. So here comes a Maven. Okay. So Maven, so it is automatically taking this version. Which version of Maven that we need is like, so if you want to specify Maven, where the Maven is located, that we can give. So here also we have the Maven. And I want to give this one, give this location. Okay. So Maven bin. Okay. So install automatically. I don't want to install this automatically. I just want to have this installation here. Okay. Does not look Maven directly. Yeah, till Maven you can use. Now save. So what we have saved now, system settings that we went and try to check what are the default things. Okay, everything is like default. You need not to set it here because it has taken default location. .m2 repository from the location where the repositories are located. So this is one setting. Another one is like go to the tools and you have to set the JDK and Maven. Okay, so this is like good option that we have. Like here you can see Maven installation. So where is that Maven located and Maven home that we have given. Okay, so after this we can go back to the dashboard. Now we can create a new item. So already we have created the new item, right? Maven execution sheet. I go to the configure. We have given the form.xml. Okay. So let's go and try to execute it and see if this works fine or not. Otherwise, we can fix the issues. Form.xml directly I've given. I've given the path, but which form.xml it has to execute? Is like that we did not specify it. Okay. Let me just go here. See, it is failing. Why is it failing? Console output. It will say that when pom.xml, what it says, like, there are no such file. This is not existing. Okay. So now we have to go back and configure it. Configure, and we have to give the complete location of that particular pom.xml. Okay. So here we are giving it. And what is the goal set we want to put it is like clean test. Okay. Save it. Now it will take the root directory. Go and build now. Test demo, not yet started. Console output. See what it is doing. Test demo one project. It has taken this and is trying to execute. It will check for this Maven installation in JDK also. So where the Maven is installed. But
So
now
JDK 17 is required.
17 is for Jenkins. So JDK 19
Okay.
or project execution. Okay. So that we can check,
Okay.
and if it is not picking up that 19, we can change it.
Okay, sir.
This is all like one-time configuration, guys. So you need not to do it again and again. So just you have to configure it for one time, then it will automatically pick up those things.
What about resume preparation?
Yeah, resume preparation we'll discuss on Monday, guys. Don't worry. I'll take the sample resume and I'll tell you what you have to put as part of your resume. I just
Okay.
want to understand like how many years of experience that you want to go with. So if you say that 6 years of experience, so the resume should be little little advanced. But in case if you want to go with 0 to 4 years or 4 years of experience, 6 years of experience with 3 years in manual and 3 years in relevant automation experience. So generally, I'll tell you guys, if you put for example, if you are putting 6 years of experience, 2 years of experience in manual testing and 4 years of experience in automation testing. So that is like more than enough for you getting a job, guys. Otherwise, what you can do is like you can put like 2 years of experience in automation and 3 years of experience in manual and 1 year of experience in API testing. So Postman is also kind of a very easy tool that you can learn it. We have a lot of tutorials and which are available. So you can learn it and you can put the API testing also.
Okay, sir.
So why is it taking this much time? It shouldn't take. Still building. Guys, I tried to pour all my experience because this is what generally we do as part of real time. I have like now altogether 8 years of experience in 8 years of experience in automation, both API testing and performance testing also. So manual testing is like my regular task, that hybrid model that I work on. So yes, I suggest you to go with the concept like we have covered manual testing also. See, go with the concepts and try to see. Only one thing that you should have a goal, like interviewer has only 45 minutes of time. Okay, 45 minutes of time would be, it's like very crucial time for us. If we try to ask you in that, generally what we do is like we are going to assess the candidate from the initial stages only by asking the logical questions. not the type of questions that he cannot answer, but the thing is like, no, we give some programs. So through that programs, we'll try to understand, okay, what is the level of understanding and what is the experience that he has. Okay, guys, let me just check why this is taking this much time. It says, okay, this is failed, but it's still running. Let's check its status here. It started. Okay, let me go ahead and change the default settings itself. I'll go to the manage. Then go to the tools. Maven provider use setting points. Okay, so I'll get the file path here. Path that we have. Global file settings. Okay, this is not required. I'm going to trigger it again. You see that still it is in progress, I guess. Back and try to see manage Jenkins. Let me put all defaults. Then let's go ahead with this one. This Maven I'm going to give. I'm asking it to install the version automatically. Okay, so let me just take this one. And all settings, all the options that I'm setting it as like a default. So initially I gave it from local. So let's go and see if it works in this way. Okay. Int form. Packing this positive error. Okay. So what is the error? It says like Jenkins. Okay. Failed to cast form.xml. Okay. It's not picking up this XML file. So here building in work progress and there is a project here. Project is not located. Let me just check to the check this one. It is not showing up anything here. Let me go back. Manage Jenkins or not manage Jenkins. Let me open this. Configure. Pom.xml. Have we given the pom.xml? Yes, we have given the pom.xml and root directory, and we have set the path. And you have anything here? Build information. These steps. Top level. Okay. So goals here. I'm going to set the goals here. Okay. So pre-steps is like I just want to have this Maven loaded. Okay. Okay, goals it is not taking up. Maven or CMD clean test and exit. Scanning for project is not showing up here. Just making a simple mistake here, guys. I need to change it. Maven that I have given and clean test. Okay, goals is not required. Let me just remove this goals here. So no top level Maven targets that we can take it. Clean test, apply, save, and go and click on build. Yeah, that's the non step S. Oh, sorry, I need to configure. So this step is also not required. Yeah, I'm just trying to set it up here. Okay. So Maven pom.xml. Let me just remove this pom.xml. It's not a file. It says like yeah. Pom.xml we should have. Pom.xml. Clean test, that is the goal that I'm using. Advanced. XML. I'm going back to the dashboard. I'll say that manage Jenkins. So here it is like it's causing some problem here. Settings and file location, file path. I can rotate. What is the file path that we have here is like in Maven configuration says okay, default global settings and system. Here also I'm going to give this one. JDK is like set. Just installation. I'll remove this Maven installation. I'm going to give this one. It is trying to find out that Maven first. So then it will go and try to execute this particular project. So if it's like Maven is not available, then unless it is available, then it will not trigger that. Access is denied, it says like form.xml is not readable and access is denied. Now it is like picking up this access is it's showing that access is denied. So it should not show that access is denied. We have full permissions while just saying access is denied. I'm just checking this. Here. Okay. Did we miss this form.xml? Now it started. If by default, what is that? Version of this Maven that we can give it if it is not working? Version here. Defined here in the versions. Actually, I'm checking versions so that we can give that version. Okay, let me check the versions here. So we have another option here, which wherein it will show you the version. File version. Showing up the version here also. Let me check. From the installer itself, I'll check it. First, we'll go and see that whether it is executing or not. So still it is not executing. Yes. Let me just check. I'll go back, I'll stop it. Anyways, it will get stopped. Okay. So I'll go back to this build, manage Jenkins. So it's only configuration issue, guys. It's not issue with the file. Okay. This is file path we have taken, right? So let me just use default Maven settings. Here also use default Maven settings for the configuration. And here we've taken Maven. So let me cancel it. Add Maven. Here I'm going to give Maven home. Just name of it, okay? So then after I'll take the version. I'm taking 3.9.2. Let me just check what is that version that I have downloaded and extracted it. I think I deleted this one. Let me just take some previous versions at least. 3.9.0. Okay. Apply and save. Now go back to the dashboard. I can build it. This is like it cannot run. Okay. Directly Java. Maybe I need to create a new one. So I'll try to create new item. I'll just Maven project. I'll say that Maven project. Click on new. I'll give complete informations, build environment. Go here. Now we have set that configuration, right? So that configuration would be picked up. So it's like in previous, it's not picking up that configuration. Let me just go here and try to take this location. So pom.xml I have to take, Control C. Come here and paste it. Pom.xml and clean test. So these are the goals that I want to put. Do you have anything? No. Apply, save. Let's build it. Now I have kept all the things as like default. There could be a configuration issue, guys. Let me do one thing. I will go to Jenkins, manage Jenkins. I think it's not picking up this JDK installation. Let me not add this one. I'm putting the default settings here. And Maven also, I'm setting up some default settings. Okay. Go to the dashboard. We have set it now. I'll try to execute this one. Let's remove that JDK. JDK automatically it will pick up. So which version of it, which version of JDK that we need. Okay. Now it started picking up. So that is the issue with the JDK actually. It was showing over there. So I set the JDK. That is the reason why it is showing there. Let's see what happens now. Yeah, now it is picking up the goods here. Clean test. Okay, so sorry guys, that was the only issue that we had here. Okay, so one run, there is no failure in it. So only thing that I have made mistake, what is that? Yeah, so we got this output. Sorry guys, I'll just try to recall the things actually what we have done. So first is like what we need to do is like we need to go to the plugins and add the Maven plugin here. So once it is like you can go here and you can type for that. Okay, so Maven. So when you say that it's already installed, so it is not showing up. So you can go and check in Maven, installed plugins for the Maven. Okay. See, integration. So this is available. So once it is added, go to the dashboard. First thing you have to do is like manage Jenkins and come here, go to the tools. And here you can see that configuration, put it as like default. Okay, default configuration. Go to the Maven part, go to the Maven install. And when you click on add, it will show up. Okay, so just you need to add like Maven home and take the version. Okay, latest version. And just apply and save. Now go to the dashboard, click on new item, give the Maven project. Okay, so Maven project, once you give the Maven project here, so it will go and create this one. Okay, so after this, configure here, click click on the configuration and configuration. In configuration, go to that location where we need to give the build. Okay, so you have to give the root POM. Okay, root POM is like from where the path is given. Like for example, here we can go and see what is the root POM. Right click on this, click on the properties. That's why they want to go to the Eclipse. Now you can take this copy and paste it here and give the goals. Okay, give the goals. Once you give the goals, apply and save, then you can go and trigger on this bit. Okay, so I've given the JDK, but JDK by default it is taking the JDK. Okay, so that JDK I've removed it and rest of the things are working fine. So in earlier case also it showed, but I just overlooked it. Here you can see in console output it is showing the information. Not here, but in the earlier one it was showing. So output, it's not showing up here, but it was showing. But it was showing what are the we saw some Java bin, right? So it's not picking up the Java bin now, but here you can see it is working fine. So let me just go and click on this console output. Yeah, this was the issue actually we got it. Okay, so this was the issue that we got it bin and Java. So let me go to this, but now with the latest build, it's not showing up anything. So test results, there are no failures. It is showing how many passed and how many failed. Okay, so there are additional things, guys. We can still go ahead and try to add this configurations, like reports get generated and it should be an HTML report. That things also we can do it. But I mean, like for basic things, I'm just showing you like how do we exactly this. So let me just delete this project. Which one? This one, Maven project is not required. So let me just go ahead. The dashboard. So here so we have an option to delete this actually. Okay, let's not like you can just delete it. We have options which will be shown here. So manage builds. In that manage builds that we can directly go and delete it. Let's not worry about it. No, let's go and try to. So we looked into like how do we exactly use the command prompt and how do we exactly execute this in Maven project. Maven project is like just put everything as default. Only go and change the version of the Maven in the global settings. That's nothing but tools that we have. Okay. So how do we change it? Go to the go to the dashboard, manage Jenkins, and click on tools. Okay. So put these things default. Only thing that you need to do is like you need to go here, Maven install, click on add, and just add this version. Okay. So add this version and just apply and save it. Okay. Now the thing is like we need to execute the code from the Git. So how do we execute this code from the Git? So we have a plugin here. Okay, so already we have a plugin here. So that plugin is like Git plugin that we have. So, but how do we create the project in that plugin? It's like just you need to go to the dashboard, click on new, and it's like whichever now we can directly take the freestyle project and you can name it as like Git project. Click on OK. Now go to this source code management and you can see there is an option Git. Now Git URL. So from where you want to execute, this is the URL that you want to execute, right? Copy this and you can paste it here. And credentials is like you can add the credentials. Okay. So this is like it's going to save the credentials here. Okay. For the for example, if you want to execute it next time. So I'm just giving my credentials, yahoo.com and a password. So my credentials are added now. Okay. I'm going to use my credentials here. So from where you want to execute branch, master branch. So everything is like by default that it will be. Only thing is like you have to give the git URL and credentials. So next from there, what you want to do is like you want to just execute your form.xml file. Okay. So for that, we need to go to the build. So here I will build a goals form.xml begin test. And what is that? We have to use this form.xml. If this is not working, then what we have to do is like we have to go and add the Git plugin. Okay. So first we are trying with general. So here it should execute. I'm just clicking on build now. What it says revision demo. It says like origin master. Okay. So this is what URL that we have given, right? Let me just copy it from this location, guys. So where is that code? So this is a code. Okay. So I'm going to copy it. And I'll go to the dashboard. Select this Git project, click on configuration. Git. Okay. So earlier I copied it from this location. Now I'm copying it from HTTPS. Okay. So where we have this source code man, like whatever we have, like cloning. So that I have taken it. Now click on build. So it says like form.xml file is not available here. Okay, better we are trying like we are trying it from the generics of file, right? Generics of style of project. Let me just click on configurations and try to see. Source code management, we have given everything perfectly. Credentials also working fine. And we are taking it from master, branch, auto repository, and then Maven goals. We are typing the goals here. Here form.xml. So I'm trying to point to the form.xml, but it's not pointing out here. So for this, what we can do is like we have another alternate. Okay. So go to this and we'll get different options for this. Okay. Go to this manage Jenkins. And here you can see there's a plugin. And now we can add like Git. So available plugins. Go to this Git server. Okay. So we have this already. Git pipeline should be there. So yeah, GitHub pipeline for the Blue and GitLab. Let me type GitHub. Directly it should bring me the GitHub. GitHub integration. Okay. So GitHub integration install without restarting. So I'm just installing it. GitHub integration, take this GitHub integration pipeline. Then you can configure the same things in that GitHub integration. GitHub integration is there. Another one is like GitHub plugin should be there. Let me go and check GitHub plugin also. Install plugin. Both should be available. Integration is like it will integrate the things. Yeah. GitHub plugin, we have a GitHub plugin. Go back to this. I'm going to this particular GitHub. Okay. I'll take the Maven project again. GitHub project. So directly we can give this configuration. Already we have defined it. See GitHub project we have. So URL I'm going to paste it here. So yeah, we can use like this one also possible and this one is also. We'll go to the GitHub this location. Okay. So this particular thing already we have configured this thing. So I'm just changing it. So I just change it from freestyle to the Maven because Maven freestyle it is not accepting the pom.xml file location. So here we have already have the Maven which is integrated, right? So here you can see pom.xml. I'm going to give the goals. So it will consider this pom.xml from root folder and it will take this clean test. Okay. So let me apply and save. And after this, we'll go and try to build this. So now it should build without any issues. If we have any issues, let's see what is that. Revision. We have a reference. This is what we are referring, remote origin master. We have a remote origin master branches that we have.